Hi, Mom. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I am doing okay. We are recording on
Part
September
two.
11th. Yeah. This is our second one, our second recording today. So I don't know what date it's going to be when it is posted. I will try to get it out as soon as possible, but this is our second recording today because we had two topics that we wanted to discuss today. So the first topic, which will be the first video to come out, we were discussing, we were basically discussing, you know, the moment that we're in. We're discussing the mood of the day. Something happened yesterday, something really serious happened yesterday. So we were kind of like discussing prayer and moving forward and praying for the people and praying for us as we move forward, you know?
Yes, and this is September the 11th. For those of you that might be wondering, that might see it later.
Yeah.
This is September the 11th,
Yeah.
and as
September
we know, this is a very momentous day for America.
11th. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. So,
anyway, we have
so
a different topic, and
yeah.
my daughter is gonna she's gonna be, because I can't remember what it was all about, so she's gonna take the lead and I'm
Yeah.
just follow it.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of like a bit of a testimonial type of conversation because I had this idea of a topic that I wanted to talk about. And I'm not 100% sure of the title. I will know the title of this conversation or even the theme of this conversation after we have it. Because once again, I am here with a concept of an idea. you know, I at the moment I am the kind of creator that has the little idea and then I just go for it. I just get started. I step into it and I see what we create, you know. So I guess I'm like a go with the flow kind of creator, just got that little concept of an idea and then we go from there. We click record and we see what happens. So, but this is a testimonial video where we're going to talk about recording, where we're going to talk about the time, a specific moment in your life. Because on more than one occasion, you had experienced
Job losses.
job loss. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to word it, but yeah, losing your job losses in different ways for different reasons. But you've experienced that more than once. But there was a particular time in my childhood where I remember one in particular, and that was, I think this was the last one before you moved into a different season of your life and a different mindset and for most of your life you worked, you know um you and my dad got divorced when I was 6. So you have been a single parent. You were a single parent for most of my growing up years. So a single parent, a single working parent for most of my years growing up. I don't have a memory of parents together, living together, doing a family thing. By the time I was old enough to understand things and pay attention to things, that season had already passed. Right?
Yeah.
So I just lived with you for most of my life as a single working parent. And I've seen the times where you had and the times that we didn't, the times where you were working and the times that you weren't. But the one that really stick out to me was, and I don't even think that there's there I think I might be conflating two different times, right? So there's one that stick out to me when I was maybe like a young adult, I think. where I remember around Christmas time, but you weren't working, and I remember us getting a basket from the church. You know what I mean? I remember that. I remember how much of a blessing that was. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
grateful we were for that. Right? So
Yeah.
that's a memory that stuck out in my head. And so that's
Mhm.
something separate. But then now, then there's the last time it happened that you didn't go back to work. From that time on, only until you come up here, you ended up working for somebody again. But there was a long period that you were your own businesswoman. You remember? Of course you
Yeah.
remember. But
Um,
it was the last time before you left and you came up here that
yeah,
a
because
long time. Yeah.
I think yeah, I think in like 2014 or
Mhm.
um anyway, I can't remember what
But you but
I
but you came out here in 2016, I think.
yeah,
Just in time. Just in time for the craziness. So you never experienced before this guy got into politics, um, the period of America before that. You know, you
yeah,
always experienced the period where it shifted, and a
yeah.
certain somebody got into politics, and
So I don't even know what it is like.
the
I
energy
don't
of the
even know what
country,
it's like to be in the
energy of the
90s.
country, and the entire world shifted from then on. You
Yeah,
know, the world was just simpler at
yeah.
before that point.
Well,
The reason, the reason
I
that
always
kind
say
of
that. I
well, I can
always
let
say
you go
that.
into your testimony in a minute, but let me say the reason it got to it also happened around the time that social media became a thing. So that kind of like happened around the same time, like in that span. That's when the world shifted, because I always say that this guy is the first social media um president, right? Where social media played a big role in his presidency, you know. So the world shifted before then, but before that happened, before you came here, you had lost your job. You said it was probably 2014.
No, no. I was thinking
Oh,
back.
you traveled and
Yeah, I was thinking back.
uh
So I would say like 2010
yeah.
or something like that, you know. And yeah.
So I
So
can
I
ask you some
I had
questions.
that job. I had that job for 5 years.
Mm,
I used to work at a drug rehab
mhm,
as, doing the accounts and office managers.
mhm,
So that was a very good time in
yeah.
my life.
Mm,
And then for whatever reason, they had to lay me off.
mm,
So I think it was probably around 2010, somewhere around there.
okay. So
Because
yeah.
hmm?
Oh no, I was gonna say, so I can guide the conversation by asking you some questions so that I ain't gonna leave you to just go rack your brain to remember all the things, right? I can just ask you a few questions. Like, um, do you remember, before I start asking the questions, let me just explain to people that watching this video why I'm having this conversation. The reason I having this conversation with my mom is because I know that a lot of people right now are everything changing, and a lot of people, too many, are losing their jobs right now, you know. And I wanted my mom to have the opportunity to give her testimony of what that experience was like and where it led to. So because I want people to be inspired or to be encouraged to know that even though there's this feeling, there's the feelings that come when you lose your job. And my mom was going to share what those feelings are like for her, what was like for her. And but you will make it to the other side. You just gotta hang in there and change and try to look at things differently if possible. So before I over explain my position, I am going to ask my mom a few questions and let her share her testimony. And hopefully, this conversation would be helpful or encouraging or inspiring or helpful to anybody who needs it, or just interesting. We'll see how it goes. So, you had at the time, um, I don't think I was there yet. I was there. So, how many kids, how many people was still in your care or living with you, or you remember?
I think it would have been. I think it would just be Ariel and Tatiana.
Okay, so my two
I
little
think
sisters.
'cause
Mhm.
Shane had moved out and he was living at his dad, I think, or
Yeah,
something. And then
yeah.
he moved out from there and he was living in his own apartment. So,
Okay,
yeah, so
so
I think it was just Tatiana and
right, and
Ariel.
you remember how old they were at the time?
Um, Ariel could have been a teenager, like 15, 16, things like that. I know you know, and then
Mhm,
Tatiana's younger because Tatiana is like
mhm.
6 years younger than her.
Yeah, so somewhere around 10 years old, or somewhere around there.
Right?
So she would have been somewhere around 10.
Yeah, she was around 9, 10.
Okay.
That,
So
that, yeah, probably
so
around 10.
on go a little further back for a bit. Let me go back to the time where you had lost your job when the kids were still little. Four kids, right? Yeah, four kids, still little. How did that feel for you? You remember? You remember how it felt?
Well, the thing about it, it kept me focused because what I realized is that regardless of people would always tell me, you were so strong, you were so strong, you were so strong. There were lots of times I did not feel so strong
Mm,
because I try not to show a lot of emotion in front of my children at certain points in time. But I used to feel very weak, used to feel very, because I tried not to share with them when we didn't have money to get certain stuff. I
yeah.
always get like a change thought. So there were times when I had nothing um, for us to eat, but I would go in my change thought and I would
Okay.
get whatever money I could get out of there to buy whatever I needed to buy. So it was it was a very testing and trying time, but luckily for me at the time, I was a Christian, and that I don't call myself a Christian now. I call myself a believer. But at the time, I had my faith, and I used
Mm,
to fall back on that a lot. I used to try to get my solace from the Word. The Word is what kept me strong. And that's where I kept, because I couldn't imagine people going through what I had to go through and not having the strength of somebody to talk to the words. And even though I thought it was a man in the sky or whatever,
mm,
I used to talk to the spirit anyway.
mm,
And that was basically how I got through, because my children, as you said, y'all were all young,
Yeah.
and Ariel came through different means because Ariel was between my two marriages,
Mhm.
you know. So
Yeah.
that is a testimony in itself
Mm.
because I was going through the trauma of that
Mm.
and also trying to raise two
Yeah.
little ones because you were like, you were what, 8, 9, whatever, and Shane then was young as well, probably
Yeah.
4, whatever. So I between that, I was trying to raise y'all and then going to church,
Mm.
and Ariel came along, and I stopped going to church because
Mhm.
of the embarrassment of Ariel coming along
Mm.
between marriages, right?
Mm.
And as I said, that is a testimony in itself. So we're not going to go into that part today. But, and then, so it was very traumatic, put it this way,
Mm.
because having to raise y'all and then having another young baby and all of that there, it was very, 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 very
Yeah.
traumatic. But as I
Yeah.
said, what kept me strong was my belief and my faith.
You remember how long it took before you found a new job?
Well, I never after which
When we
after
were
that
little.
brother house,
No, 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 no. The
after
one that you were talking about when we were little, when the kids was little. You remember?
oh that one probably didn't take that long, probably 3 months. So the thing about Barbados, you still get um oops, you still get like the unemployment and all of that. So
Mm.
so that was a little help and things like that. But when you have lots of bills to pay, a lot of times they can't cover the bills. So that um that probably around, yeah, 3 months or something like that. But
Yeah.
the younger you are, the easier it is for you to, like finding jobs
Yeah.
was not an issue. But what happened is I couldn't figure out why I was losing them. But then
Mm.
after I got older and I started to do certain research, I figured out why. But the point I'm making is the yeah, it didn't take that long when y'all were younger because um your dad had another family
Mhm.
and all of that. So I wasn't getting I wasn't getting the help at the time that I needed from that source because of him having another family.
Mm.
So he had that responsibility as well.
Yeah.
So it was left up to me to try to think. But one thing I remembered when when y'all were young too, what made it easier for me, even though I might have lost the job around that time, is that I was living in a government house.
Mm.
So when you're living in a government house, the
Mm.
rent is my rent was only like $160,
Yeah.
right? So the rent is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't it wasn't as hard as it would be today.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you wanted me to go really far back, and that one was not as traumatic as.
Yeah. The
when
last one. The
yes,
last time.
yeah,
Because
those
yeah,
first ones, and the thing about me is that I'm a dreamer.
yeah,
So I always know that something is going to happen.
yeah.
You know, I always know because I dream about it first. And
Oh.
so
So when you say you're a dreamer, you mean literally dreamer, like
yeah,
dreaming dreams.
literally a
Okay.
dreamer.
Mm,
So I always used to dream about stuff for, so when it did happen, I think I used to sort of prepare my mind for it
mm,
because when it did happen, I don't think I caused it to happen,
mm,
but I just think that a lot of the times for people like me, it still is like that, for people like me, after a while, when I've done what I am supposed to do at a certain job,
mm,
that job comes to an end. That job
mm,
comes to a
mm.
tenure. If you see
Yeah,
what I mean, it
yeah.
just it just comes to
Is
an end.
push you out one way or the next. It pushes you out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm,
and it just comes to an end because I went there for a specific purpose,
yeah.
and I realized that in my job career, a lot of the times jobs that I went to, I
Mm,
always had to sort out things
mm,
and make things right
mm.
in the organization. And
Yeah.
then when that happened
Yeah.
and I start getting comfortable or whatever,
Mm,
the most I would tell me, no, this is not where I want you.
mm.
And it just used to dissolve and
Yeah.
come to an end.
And I'm sure like for a long time you probably thought that it was you, that something wrong with me, why this keep happening to me,
Yep,
right?
yep,
But
yep,
you probably have a nomad energy, a
yep,
nomad spirit, you
yep. I
know.
don't know, but I
I, I
remember,
I I don't know where that came from. It came in my head. You know what a nomad is? They go from place to place to place to place, right? So you probably have like a nomad spirit. You go from one place to the next to do what you meant to do there, and then you move to the next place.
yeah,
But that,
and
again, that's one of
and
those things that just pop into my head and
yeah,
out of my mouth.
yeah, every place that I've worked,
Yeah.
I've always left an impact. Like people remember me years later, and I'm wondering, okay, where do I know
Mm.
this person from?
Yeah.
But they remember me. They remember my name. They
Yeah.
remember how I made them feel.
Remember your energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering, okay,
Mm.
uh, and you're scared, you're embarrassed to say, so where do I know you from again? You know, but
Yeah.
but sometimes I don't even ask them where I know them from again. I say, okay, hi, how are you? And
Yeah.
I speak as though I know them, but
Mhm.
I'm there racking my brain trying to figure out where I know you from. But anyway,
So okay. So that was back in the day. It was easier. The transition from one job to the next was easier. And then you
yeah,
got older. Your children, most of them became adults and young teenage, and the first two left, and you only had the last two remaining, which you mentioned earlier. You said that one was like 15, 16, the other was 9, 10, or something like that, right?
yeah,
And those are my sisters. And you had a job that you liked for 5 years. You really liked it there, you said.
yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, again, you got pushed out. Spiritually, you got pushed out. One way or the next, the spirit finds a way to push you out,
And
right?
it's always when I start to get comfortable.
Hmm.
It's always
Yeah.
when I start to get comfortable.
Yeah.
It's
But this
like,
one, yeah. But this one was and also you had gotten remarried. Were you were still married at the time, or when you
oh yeah,
got when you got pushed out, you were still married?
if I was still married when I got pushed out,
Hmm.
no.
Hmm.
That
You.
person, that person had did a lot of bad things, and they went back to their island of origin and left me at the time. It was me and the two children
Mhm.
left us basically by ourselves. And
Right.
I'm going to share this because when that person left us and basically left us with nothing
Hmm.
and went back to his place,
Hmm.
I there was one particular day because I'm not going to tell people that it was easy because it was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. They
Hmm.
had me on a lot of medication for depression,
Hmm.
anxiety, stress, everything that you could think about. So I
Yeah.
was taking a lot of medication. My pressure started going up. My pressure was always high
Hmm.
every time I went to the doctor when I was married to him and even after. And and the doctor gave me medication for that as well
Yeah.
and told me that I will have to take this medication for the rest of my life.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think I was only in my 40s or something
Hmm.
like that at that time.
Hmm.
And I said, there's no way I
Hmm.
want to take medication for the rest of my life. But
Wow. What?
the point I'm making is that if we go through these things and we come out at the other end, but when we are actually going through them, we never think that we're going to come out at the next end
Yeah.
because it's always so hard when you're going through it. It's always so drowning when you're
Yeah.
going through it, you know.
Yeah.
And as I said, they put me on all kinds of medication. By this
Hmm.
time, I had left the church,
Hmm.
and I left the church because of, you know, getting the other baby and all that. I left the church because
Hmm.
of the embarrassment and everything of the
Yeah.
church. And then I went completely the other way.
Yeah.
And the other way is I started like I would be good. If I was working, I would be good uh, during the week. But when you
Hmm.
see, I never wanted to see weekends.
Hmm.
Weekends to me, like I love seeing my off days now. At that time, weekends are because I always work um, Monday to Friday. So weekends were like a nightmare for me
Yeah.
because it left me home with my thoughts,
Yeah.
my own thoughts. When I
And
was
and
at
this
work,
and at this time you weren't married anymore. He was gone, right? He was gone, right? You said
he was gone. He was
he was
gone.
gone, right? Right. But you still was at your job.
I was
This
still
still
at my
when you
job
taking the medication, you were still at your job, right?
for a few months after
And then
because
yeah. So
yeah,
so when you so when
because
you yeah.
I had to so I left when I left the job I was at the job for a few months, but telling you that
Mhm.
what was happening during the transition
Mhm.
because All right. It asked me the question. What you were gonna ask me?
So what I was gonna ask is that so when you left the job, when the job was when you were out of the job, were you still taking medication at that time, or you
Yes,
had stopped taking medication?
I was still taking the medication. I was not living in the house at that time, because I had gotten a place in St. George.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not living
Mm-hmm.
in the thing, but I was still taking medication.
Mm-hmm.
I was still doing all of that because I felt that that is what kept me going.
Yeah,
Because a lot happened
yeah.
before I even lose a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell you, it was just bad.
Yeah,
You know,
I
it was
yeah,
just
it
bad.
was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
And
It was a
and
lot.
then and you all the kids was aware too. Well, I was already here in America,
Yeah, you were.
and sh and my brother, he was in Barbados, or he was aware
Yeah,
too.
he was still there.
But
Was.
he was his own person, his
Yeah, he
own
was.
independent person by then,
Yeah,
right? So it was just you and the girls.
yeah.
And
It was.
then
And then Aria left at 18 too.
mm, okay.
So she was
So
basically gone soon after too.
okay.
So
So it
it
was
just
you and
left me
Tatiana.
and Tatiana.
And at one point you left Barbados to go to St. Lucia to be with my sister's dad, the person that you was married to, the person that kind of caused all the stress, right? What to make you make that decision, and don't and it's perfectly all right. Whatever it is, it's perfectly all right because you was doing your best you can. But what was your thought process at the time?
Well, my thought process at the time when I lost my job, I I came out. And I just laugh at this sometimes because I came out of that job and they paid me like 37,000 Barbados dollars.
Wow. Yeah.
And my mindset was so shocked and
Yeah.
so beaten down from being in the 12-year marriage.
Mm,
It was so beaten down. I thought, okay, well, I didn't even dream
mm,
of opening a business for myself
mm,
because I never thought that I was good at anything. So so I came out with that, and he had already, as you said, he had already um gone. And what was the question again?
what was the thought process behind heading moving to St. Lucia with him?
Right. Okay. So 2 years later, because I was older now,
Mm,
2 years later, I was still looking for a job.
mm,
I
mm,
couldn't find a job. So, in 2 years, that
mm,
money
mm,
that I came up with went in paying the mortgage for the house, went
mm,
in paying bills, went in covering all the expenses that I had to cover for
mm,
those years that I was still not working.
mm,
So I don't know what caused it, but he started calling his
mm,
daughter,
mm.
right? Because for her, she never had closure
Yeah.
because he just left. So
Yeah.
she was 9 years old or something like that, 9, 10 years old, something like that. And he just left. So
Mm,
she never had closure. So she never knew why he left, anything like that, because none of us knew he was leaving.
Yeah.
And um, he never, basically, he never supported her, he never did anything, he just disappeared.
Mm.
And then he started calling.
Mm.
So, one thing I try not to do is at the end of the day, it's still her father.
Yeah.
So I allowed her to talk to him and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I, and then one day I asked her, I said, because he wanted her to come and visit, right?
Mm.
And I
Mm.
said, I'm not sending my child anywhere for
Mm.
him not to send her back.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like in one of the 5 phone calls or something like that, he
Mm.
wanted her to come and visit.
Mm.
So I said, do you want to go and see your father? She said yes.
Mm.
She said, yeah, I want to go and see daddy, whatever the
Mm.
case may be.
Mm.
So I said, okay. And I said, I am going to let her go down there for a few weeks,
Mm.
but I'm not letting her go alone.
Yeah.
Because by this time, I still wasn't working.
Yeah.
Right? And so I said, I'm not letting her go alone because anywhere she's going, I'm going to be going.
Mm.
So I ended up going with her. I went down there with her.
Mm.
And it wasn't, the intention was not for us to go back or anything like that. It wasn't that intention at all because
Mm.
I wasn't in the picture that sort of way. You understand? It was just that I told him, if my daughter going, I come in too
Mm.
because I'm not sending her anywhere for you to keep my daughter.
Mm.
So, so that's how I managed to go down the first time.
Mm.
And I went down, and while I was down there, because the intention was to stay like 3 weeks or whatever. And while I was down there, how people are, started
Mm.
crying in the river. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to do it again. I know that I was wrong. I know the blah, 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 blah. You know the story. You know the
Mm.
drill.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, soft-hearted me, I said, okay, for my daughter's sake,
Mm.
I'll try again for
Yeah.
her sake. And
Mm.
that's why I did it. That's
Okay.
why I went back. I did it at the
And
time
yeah.
for Tatiana. I didn't care
Uh,
anything about me.
yeah. And how soon after being there did you realize that this wasn't working? We gotta go.
Okay, but before we get there, what
Mm.
I did, I left Tatiana there. All right,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I left Tatiana there
Mm.
because it was like summer or something. So I left her there,
Mm.
and I came back to Barbados to
Mm.
pack up, to sell some stuff and pack up some things in the house. And there were a
Mm.
lot of people that were saying, "You sure? You sure you want to do this? You sure you want to do
Yeah.
this?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yes. I do it. Whatever it costs for my daughter,
Mm. Mm.
I will do it." So that's how I managed to go back down. I went back down like a few weeks later. So
Mm.
Tatiana stayed there. I
Mm.
went back down a few weeks later. And then while I was there, people are always on their best behavior for the first 4 weeks or so.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then I started to see a lot of the similar signs, and what the
Mm,
similar signs was jealousy and everything. Because
mm,
I found a church down there that I used to go to, a little church in the village to the back that I
mm,
used to go to, and it was a lot of jealousy going on, a lot, you know.
mm,
And another reason that caused me to make that decision is because his sister had told me, oh, he's not the same person.
yeah,
He has changed a lot, and he
yeah.
goes to church now, and he
Mm.
think. And when I was down there, I never saw him go to church once.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Yeah, yeah,
But I figured it was because, okay, I'm a Sunday goer, and they were Saturday goers because they were like Saturday Adventists or something.
yeah,
So I said, okay, maybe that's the reason why.
yeah,
Um, and and that was one of the reasons that caused me to make that decision as well.
yeah.
And so when I went back, I realized after um, 4, 5 months, I looked around me and I realized what the life would have been like, number
Mm,
one. And if he used to treat me the way how he used to treat me in Barbados, and that was my hometown. Now
mm.
I was on his territory,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I
yeah,
felt, okay, you treat me worse.
yeah,
And it started happening all over again
yeah.
because of jealousy.
Mm,
And it started happening all over again. And by
yeah.
this time, I went down there with something like 12,000 Barbados dollars, and the Barbados dollars is like one something in
Mm,
solution money. So when it comes to looking after Tatiana, when it comes to doing things and all of that, I realized he knew that I had money, so he never used to, he never had money to do anything. So I
mm,
was watching all these little signs and
yeah.
traits and all of that. And because he never had money to do anything.
And
So
yeah.
so I decided, I think after probably 7 or 8 months, I
Mm,
was going to I was gonna come back home, go back
yeah.
home.
But and the trick was, if I remember correctly, you had to find a way to get back home safely. You know, you had to
Yeah,
find a way
because
to sneak out of there, sort of like to.
yeah, because what
Mm,
happened, and I left everything,
mm,
all my
mm,
memories, all my antiques, all my everything. We
yeah.
came back home. The house was empty. We came back home with 3 suitcases, Tatiana and I, because what I had to do. Now, this is a person to show you how the spirit sends people in your life when you need them.
Mm,
This is a person that I grew up with,
mm,
but I never hang around. I never rotate, nothing like that. And for some reason, during this whole thing, we
mm,
just started talking via messages and different things like that, not as a relationship, because as I said, we grew up together. So it was,
mm,
it was just like old time
mm,
friends sort of thing. So I was telling him, and what I used to have to do is if I wanted to do certain things, I used to have to go into town.
mm,
So what I was telling him is that I need to get home to Barbados because right now I have no money,
mm,
right?
mm,
My ex-husband
mm,
said he's not giving me any money to get
mm,
home, to go home
mm,
and or anything like that. So I need to get home.
yeah.
and he couldn't like send me the money. So he sent me to this business place to this man that he knew.
Mm.
I don't even know the man or anything like that. He
Mm.
sent me to this business place to the man that he knew.
Mm.
And the man gave me enough money for two one-way tickets
Mm.
to get home for me and my daughter. So I had to
Right.
leave everything.
Yeah.
And at that time, I told him that I just need a break for a little bit.
Mm.
You know, I just
Mm.
need a break for a little bit and I want to go home and check and see how things are going with the house and all that. Because by that time, I had the house rented out.
Mm.
So it wasn't a easy thing because then I had to see if I could get one of the rooms in the house that somebody
Mm.
else was renting to
Mm.
so that me and my daughter could stay.
Mm.
But then eventually the person moved out.
Mm.
Um, but so I tell my ex-husband, I said, I need a break. I just need a
Mm.
break for a little while. I need to get home. And I can just go home, see how things doing, and I left there. I left there because I already knew what my plans were because two traumatic things happened when I was there as well. And
Mm.
then my life flashed in front of my eyes because I saw him do some things to his family that if he did that to his family, what would he do to me? He would probably kill me. And then that is around the same time that Whitney Houston died.
Mm.
Uh, and that day so was, terrifying to me. And then not only that, I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw that a girl that I used to go to church with
Mm.
had gotten killed by her
Mm.
ex-husband
Jeez.
because of
Yeah.
jealousy
Yeah.
that had gotten, I shouldn't say killed, but unalived
Mm.
by her ex-husband
Mm.
um, because of jealousy
Mm.
and because she had moved away from him and he probably could handle it and
Mm.
he waited for her outside of the home that she was renting
Mm.
and basically unalive her.
Mm.
So So all those things made me think. It made me think because I said I have four children and I don't want my children to be without a mother this way.
Mm.
So I had to, and as I always do, I had to choose what I
Mm.
wanted to do.
Mm.
And what I wanted to do, because I used to stay, I had a book, and it's probably in Barbados somewhere,
Mm.
where I used to pray to the Most High. And I said, I'm going to be going back home. I probably still might not be able to find a job or whatever. What am I going to do?
Mm.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And and the Most High said to me, the Spirit said to me, use the gift that I give you.
Mm. Mm.
Use the gift that I give you.
Mm.
I said, what gift? I don't have any gift, So
Mm.
I'm back and forth with the spirit because what gift? Tell me what gift? I don't have any gift, and that's why I tell people now we all have gifts. We
Mm.
all have something that we're good at,
Mm.
and the spirit says, you have the gift of cooking.
Mm.
So when that idea came to my head,
Mhm.
I said, you know what? When I go home, and I had no money.
Mhm.
When I go home, I'm going to I'm going to start selling food in my because I had the area to the front of the house, which was a pretty big size area. So I said, you know,
Mhm.
I'm going to put up a 10 by 10 tent,
Mhm.
and I'm going to start selling food underneath my 10 by 10 tent.
Yeah.
I had a friend then that bought me when I came back home because before I left, I used to talk to him because when after my ex-husband left and all of that there, I started dancing. So I
Yeah.
used to do ballroom and Latin dancing. So he
Mhm.
was basically my dance partner. And when we
Mhm.
go out, like we would go in different places, like to Q in the community, and we would go different places. And we would basically be dancing because the two of us together doing our ballroom dancing and stuff like that
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
awesome, you
Mhm.
know. So the reason at that time my ex-husband, no, you left me for 2 years. What do you think? You left me with nothing for 2 years, and I give you the privilege of coming back to you, and then you're gonna I left my phone
Mhm.
on the table, and he picked up my phone and he searched through my phone
Mhm.
and he saw different pictures with
Mhm.
me and the person,
Mhm.
right? So he don't know who this person is.
Mhm.
And then that's when he started wanting to get violent with me
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
And I had Tatiana's guitar,
Mhm.
and basically I picked up the guitar
Mhm.
and I said, "Don't you even dare, because if you touch me," I said, "I'm not the woman," because I picked up the guitar like this. I
Mhm.
said, "I'm not the woman that you left 2 years ago."
Mhm.
So, so he was not too happy by that. So he got really mad and he
Mhm.
took it out on his sister and his mother. And when I saw that, I said, "Nope, I got
Mhm.
to go." That's what
Yeah.
made me, that's what pushed the nail. That's what pushed
Yeah.
the nail in the coffin. I said,
Yeah.
"Nope, I got to go." But anyway,
Mhm.
um, so basically, that's where it all started. That's where
Yeah.
and it's because
Yeah.
that was another thing. I said, so I just spirit, so what am I going to at the time obviously I was saying God, you know.
Yeah.
I said, so God, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be doing this and stuff like that. But what am I gonna call it? What
Yeah.
thing? And God said to me, or
Mhm.
Spirit said to me, "You're a very sweet person,
Mhm.
and everybody calls you Annie.
Mhm.
So you're gonna call it Sweet Annie's."
Right.
And that is where Sweet Annie's was born.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep. And the reason that you had to share that story is because that story is an important part of the journey towards the sweet annies. You know what I mean? That is the bridge. That story is the bridge. The
that was
experience
in
that, yeah,
2012.
that experience that you had, you know, with, losing a job and just trying to find one, and then,
Couldn't find
giving,
one.
yeah, and then giving it a shot again because, for the benefit of your daughter, and because you received like encouragement from somebody else, so you thought, okay, okay, you believe what I said, that he's a changed person. You took the word of somebody who said he's a changed person,
Yeah.
and you gave it a shot, you know, which is understandable because you know sometimes we give things, we
I
try,
can't.
you know,
I
and
thought you ever needed closure.
yes, and yeah, through that experience, she also got, because when she was younger, she probably want to understand why,
No.
but from the second time, she understood why, you
Yep.
know, and is
Actually,
there's we say, yeah,
she was the one that even pushed me even more. She said, Mommy, every
mm,
time you go to church, Daddy always peeping behind you and Daddy always asking me questions. Mommy, you need to leave Daddy.
yeah,
She said,
wow,
Daddy always say, don't let me sleep. I should be, and she was just,
yeah,
yeah, like you go to Bible study or whatever, and he peeping behind and he confusing the child, and I go into Bible study with his sister. That's
mm,
him,
mm,
and
mm,
so she said, Mommy, can we leave? Can we just
yeah.
leave? Can we
And
leave, Daddy?
I and so you know, even though, like I said, look at things differently now, right? In our religion spirituality journey, right? But I still got this phrase in my head. I don't have a different phrase, but through the grace of God, right? You somehow made it on the other side. And luckily for us, whatever the right phrasing is, but through the grace of God, luckily, whatever you're gonna say, he it wasn't the kind of person that took it as far as those kind of people can take it. You know what I mean? And he actually let you go. I don't know if he let you go easily or not, but I think so. He actually let you go,
Because I
and he
told him
let
I
you
was
be.
going to check on stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean let you go afterwards. He didn't follow you when he realized you wasn't coming back. Did he
Oh,
follow you?
yeah.
Did he follow you?
No,
Right. So
no.
through the grace of God, he didn't follow you for some reason, because
Yeah,
sometimes
but,
those kind of people do that sort of thing. They will follow you, like the
yeah,
scenario
but
that you
then,
described with your friend.
yeah, but
The
then
person that you
after
knew from
you,
church.
yeah,
You know, so that ended badly for her.
yeah,
And through the grace of God, it did not end badly for you nor
yeah,
my sister.
because
You know.
I was adamant that no, my children,
Yeah. And
my
you made the
children
right
are not,
decision.
yeah,
You made
my
the right
children are
decision.
not going to be growing up without a mother,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
you made the right decision, and
Yeah,
you got out in a smart way.
yeah, but
And
what I wanted to say too before we go any further is because the Mosaic God or whatever has a real sense of humor because for 2 years I was sending out applications, I was looking for jobs, I was saying the either 2 or 3 days before I was ready to leave, somebody called me for interview at the Barbados Water Authority.
wow.
And
Mm, yeah.
I had to go I went for the interview
Yeah.
because I didn't want it. And I went for the interview and I got the job, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I got the job.
Yeah.
But by this time, my daughter was somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was preparing to go there. And I said, what are
Wow.
the odds? What are the odds? I
Yeah.
got that job. But I do believe that
Mm,
the journey that I had to take,
mm,
it had to bring me to this place because if I had taken that job, it was a government job.
Yeah,
So if
you
I
would get
take that
comfortable
job,
again.
I would get comfortable,
Yeah,
and I would probably not be doing half of what I'm doing today
yeah, yeah,
because I
because
would still
yeah,
be stuck.
yeah, because you you after this experience that you had of coming back to Barbados, you started cooking, and it eventually evolved into you having a bar. Like literally, it was a built bar, like that. My brother had. He did it by himself or with help.
He had us, he had Tatiana, he had Ariel, he had myself, and then
Mm.
he had my cat because she was
Yeah.
always all around.
So basically, a family built bar, literally by hand, a family built
Yeah,
bar. You
yeah,
know,
he
and
did.
you you
Basically,
own. Yeah.
I like vintage, and for people that know me, know that I like vintage. So I knew what I wanted,
Mm,
and I don't know if you know those rum barrels, but
mm,
those rum barrels, um, th- you could go and you could buy them from the Barbados Rum Refinery
mm,
for $11 at the time.
mm,
So the most expensive thing for me in building up the bar was buying the plywood and buying the actual wood for the beams and stuff like that. But the
mm,
actual bar then, because I love that vintage look,
mm,
the actual bar then was made from those rum barrels because what Shane did, what Shane did is separated all the little, because the rum barrels, you will see that they have little like joint,
mm,
they
mm,
stuck that joint together. They still have the curve,
mm,
and those rum barrels, we had to separate them, separate all of those rum barrels, and that's what we bought the bar from. So it was just that's what we built the bar from. So it was just, as you said, a family built bar, but myself and Tatiana did it for 6 months or something like that before Shane actually joined us.
yeah.
Because Shane said to
Wait,
me,
when you said did it, be more specific. You mean did it in terms of run the bar or build the bar? What you
no,
mean?
no, in running the food business. Because at the time, don't forget, it was just a 10 by 10 tent. And then I bought my tables and my plastic chairs and all of that. So they were all on the lawn area, the grass area, and stuff like that. And
Mm,
that was the seating and the actual drinks and barbecue and all of that, and the music and everything. I used to bring my stereo system, a little small stereo system I had. I used to bring
mm.
it from inside the house. Like every day, it was a chore. Every
Wow.
time I did it, it was a chore to set up and to pull down. You know what I mean? And that's where it started. So I used to put everything underneath that
Mm,
10 by 10 bar, and then the people and then I got somebody bought me another, what do you call it, a tent, but it was
mm.
bigger.
Yeah,
So what I used to do is put the seat in,
yeah,
in case the rain falls or anything, put the
yeah.
seat in underneath the bigger tent, and then the food and different things. So I did all the food and the grilling and everything. So making all the fish cakes. I did everything
Yeah,
underneath that 10
yeah,
by 10 thing.
yeah. And so when you had come back to Barbados, you didn't have anything. How you went from not having anything, starting to cook, to having the funds to start expanding. Where did that funds come from? Did it come from
People,
selling the food or people helping
no,
or
no. As I told you, remember I told you that I had had the house rented out for a little bit,
mm,
but then the person moved out like probably 2 months after or something like that after I
mm,
came back. But remember I told you the house was rented out.
mm,
So what I did, the rent money,
mm.
I used that money to get all my licenses.
Oh
And
wow.
you had to
Yeah.
get like, you know, all the different licenses because what used to happen is that the health inspector and then a
Mm,
health certificate and all that
mm,
because you had to apply for a health certificate.
mm,
So they would come and check out the place and make sure it's
mm,
sanitary enough and
mm,
all those things. So I took that money and I bought the 10 by 10 tent
mm,
and do the different licenses and buy the starter food and the drinks and all of that. But then what the after that, what used to happen is the place that I used to get the drinks and different things from, they
mm.
had like different promotions where they would give you the drinks, right?
Yeah.
And then they would give you a certain amount of drinks, and then what you would do is what you sell, right?
Mm,
What you
mm,
sell for that period of time or whatever, you will
mm.
pay them for. So it was like they were giving
Yeah.
you the drinks in advance, and
Oh, that's very good.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I used to do different um banks promotions, and I used to do that. Another beer down there. What was it called? It was in a green bottle.
Heineken?
No, not the Heineken. Heineken is like
Hennessy, Hennessy, Hennessy?
no, no,
Oh,
that's
that's
a
not beer.
gin.
Oh, okay. I don't
But
know nothing about alcohol.
anyway,
um,
I got
yeah.
pictures. I got pictures there,
Yeah.
but it was yeah, it was the if Shane was listening to this, Shane would
He
probably
would know. Oh
comment
yeah, he
and
would.
tell me because.
He would.
But anyway, so I used to get like when you doing the promotion, you will get the drinks. They will give you like all the banners and different things, and you will get like all your beers and everything
Yeah.
basically free, and then you pay them after.
Yeah.
So I think that in that journey was a very, very, very interesting journey
Yeah.
because I had never done anything like that,
Yeah.
and I was not the social butterfly, so to speak.
Yeah. I
But
feel like yeah.
being being the proprietor
Yeah.
of a bar, you have to turn into a
You gotta be
social
more
butterfly.
social. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was in the newspaper because a reporter came there and I was having some function. Reporter came there and they did like a article on
Yeah.
Sweet Annie's.
Yeah.
And it was called Sweet Annie's Hideaway. And the reason it was called Sweet Annie's Hideaway is because it was off the road, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
so it was an interesting journey. It was
Yeah. So how long were you doing it before another transition, which is that a lot of things happened and that would be a whole nother story. But how long were you doing it before you came here?
I was doing it for since 2012 and I came up here September. I started it in June or July 2012, and I came up here in September 2016. And I came up here on the 11th of September. Actually, today.
Wow. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I came up here on the 11th of September, I think. Um, but I closed the bar on the 10th, and
Mm,
I
mm,
told them, all my people, because I invited a lot of them personally to that last thing, and I told them that I just need a rest. I need to
mm,
get a break because I've been doing this for,
mm.
almost 4.5 years,
Yeah.
just all the time. So I
Yeah.
just needed a break. I needed a rest. So they anticipated that I was coming back.
Yeah.
But one thing happened, next thing happened.
Yeah. There's another story for another
Yeah,
time.
that's another story for another day. So,
But yeah. But because and then through that, you know, when you came out here, things happen, a life happened, and you eventually evolved into what you're doing now. Wait, let me backtrack a little bit. When you had the bar, you also had done something that you never did before, which is you got involved with helping out a private school, and you started teaching, which is something
yeah,
different as well. And you
yeah.
had never done that, so that was also a new experience, you
Yeah,
know.
when I was operating the bar, there were three things I used to do. I was on the board of directors of the child care board,
Mm,
so I used to do that. So I used to get, they only used to meet, I think, probably once or twice a month, something. So I used to get paid for that, and then I was teaching. So
mm,
I used to do the bar and stuff like that mostly on weekends.
mm,
During the week,
mm,
I would teach it. I started off just teaching at her camp, and
mm,
then she was um, opening back up the school for September. So she asked me to come on teaching um, the older children.
mm,
And so I used to teach life skills. I taught accounts. I taught the little ones English and math, I think.
mm,
And when I say the little ones, I talk about the 9, 10 year olds. But
mm,
then it went up to secondary.
mm.
And so, but that is a story in itself as
And
well.
that's another story in itself because you
Yeah,
want at one point you was starting to write a book, but you kind of took a break from that because you have so many testimonies. Everybody got testimonies, but you got a
everybody.
lot of you have a lot of things that you went through, that you had to come out of, like some tough things,
Yeah,
and
and I
all of them is
feel I feel the reason I had to take a break from that too is because the story wasn't finished, and not only that the story wasn't finished, but I didn't want to. I don't think the spirit wanted me to publish my book with the wrong names,
yeah, yeah,
right? Because all through my book, and that's a story as well in itself.
yeah.
All
Because
through my
we could
book,
we could go down all kinds of like roads in
exactly.
terms of this testimony and this story.
Yeah, all through my book has God
Yeah, and
and
your mind
Jesus.
and your mindset, your way of
And my
seeing
way of thinking now is
is
different.
different.
So,
Yeah, you
so
know.
my way of thinking is totally different. So what I have to do is to configure my
Yeah.
book into my way of thinking.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. You can't really write your life story until you feel as though is there's closure in the chapters that you're writing about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So closure is understanding. Closure is like probably stepping out of it long enough to look at it from a distance and have a bigger picture. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you're writing that story while still in it or too close to it, you don't really see why you went through all of that and where it led you. You
Yeah.
know, and you have, for somebody who once thought that didn't have any talent at all, look at how far you are now. You are a naturals DIYer, I should say, like somebody who makes their own naturals, like in terms of health and self care, their own products. You've made lotion, you've made tinctures, you've made
Many different
capsules.
things.
You make, well, you do your cooking still. You do your cooking videos, and you share your recipes and stuff online. But you've learned a lot about herbalism, and you make hair cream, hair products, facial oil. You make all kinds of different kinds of oil. You make soap, you know, and you have learned to make, for like I said, for somebody who once taught that didn't have any talent. No, you make a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And you still have your name, Sweet Annie's, Sweet Annie's, and your channel is Sweet Annie's
After,
Naturals.
yeah,
And
after 13 years.
yeah,
13 years.
and it all started, you went through a heck of a thing. You went through a heck of a journey and all kinds of experiences and ups and downs like a roller coaster. But it all started from eventually getting to the point where, even though you was pushed out many times and knocked down and knocked all over the place, and you had an experience, eventually it came to the point where the mind, the conversation with yourself, the conversation with spirit, and you had to see yourself as somebody who has talent, even
Is
though
worth more.
you didn't see you was working with for people for so long. You never looked at what you was capable of, you
No.
know
And that's,
and you had to see that you had talent, and you had to just step out and start somewhere, and you had to use the resources available to you and the
yeah,
people available to you and the blessings and the favor that was sent your way, because it would seem like divinely guided to me,
yeah.
you know
It
and
really,
I wanted anybody who may be going through something similar, in their own way, going
yeah,
through, you know, they're I don't know what you would call it, but they're the rough season, the season of challenge and loss, and being pushed out, or having your life just turn upside down because of things out of your control.
yeah,
I wanted people to hear your story, because your story is the kind of story where it's like, don't give up, look around you and see what you have available to you, because I'm sure there is something. There is a
exactly,
talent that you don't know you have. There is a person that you could talk to if you just give them a chance. There is a
exactly,
blessing hidden somewhere if you open your mind and your eyes and your heart, and you look and you set aside pride or embarrassment or whatever it is that might be holding you back from just going for it, or feeling awkward or feeling out of place, not being a social butterfly, you know what I mean?
yeah,
uh, Putting aside what you think that you can't do, you know and
yes.
just go for it and just give it a try, because you never know where it can lead. That's why I
And
wanted us to do this
this,
conversation.
yeah, you just gotta step out in faith because this is the way I put it. Sometimes we cannot see, all we are seeing in front of us is just
Mm,
air,
mm,
you know. But the faith is when you could step. When you
yeah.
step, take that first step, you know what happens?
Mm.
A plank just comes out and you step on that plank.
Because I can't. When you say that, I there's this visual from this movie that has always stuck with me, and I think you might know what I'm talking about too. Indiana Jones, the third one with
Oh
Sean
yeah,
Connery,
yeah.
and
That was a lot.
when they had a step, when he had a step in faith, he had to step down,
Yeah,
onto this nothingness,
yeah, yeah,
off the cliff onto this nothingness. He had to literally step in faith, and when he stepped, the path showed up underneath, and there's still nothingness in front of him. So he had to step again
yeah.
for the path to, keep going. For the
And
path
that
only,
was
like,
me.
yeah,
That
the
was
path
me. I
only
just
was
had
revealing
to
itself when you put a foot down. You
I
had to
just
put the
had to
foot
step
down
out of
first. You
faith.
wasn't seeing the path first. You know, so
Yeah.
that
So
has always stuck with me, and
yeah.
yeah,
So
so I
that is basically me. Yeah, I
yeah
had to step out of faith, and what a lot of the times what was my driving force for everything that I did in my whole life, because I didn't I didn't even bother too much about me, but my driving force for everything I did in my whole life was my four children,
yeah
my
yeah
four blessings that
and
the Most High gave me.
yep
And
and
every single thing I did for them. Because
and yeah
even going back to the Christmases when I had no job, I still used to decorate the house and everything as though we had $1 million.
that's be and the thing is, it's through that I don't ever remember bad Christmas. I remember Christmases when we got a lot and when we don't. And I don't even mean just with us. I mean even into my marriage too. I remember Christmases with a lot and Christmases with very little. But I never had a bad Christmas, and maybe the reason is because of that example of learning how you can make your Christmas a nice Christmas no matter if you have a lot or
No
a little bit.
matter, no
You
matter
know,
what we had.
So
Like that, like
I,
that
I don't
time, yeah,
a memory of a bad Christmas. I remember Christmases, like I said, where we had the money and we had a lot, and Christmases where we didn't have a lot. You
like that
know,
time when we were so appreciative for just a simple gift
yeah,
basket.
yeah,
That shows you that we didn't have a lot, but we
yeah,
had each other and we had a good, a good, enjoyable
yeah.
Christmas.
And the whole
And
thing is that you just gotta remember that life has got ups and downs.
exactly,
And nothing lasts forever. There's be a
and
time and
it's so
season for
true.
everything. you know and sometimes you have a lot and sometimes you don't, but
It's so true.
perspective is everything. You look around and you see what you do have, you know and
And that's
you
so
try to be
true.
grateful about that.
That is so true. But
So yeah, so we
but I guess we could. I don't
yeah
know if you had any more questions for
no
me, but
no no this was a long conversation,
and
and
it
we
was
did two recordings
a
today,
good
so
conversation
yeah,
too.
two recordings today, so I don't know at what point this recording gonna be out, but I know whenever it's out, whoever it's for, it will find them
You'll
and they
see
will
it,
find it.
yeah.
And I hope that the right people find it, and I hope that it is helpful at any point in time. This could be something that people listen to 10 years from now. This is because we go through things.
Yeah.
We document the date that we record in,
And this
which
is
is
and this is nothing that
yeah,
this is nothing that
September 11th, 2025. But anytime this conversation will be relevant to whoever find it when they find it.
exactly. This
So I
doesn't have
hope it
an
was helpful.
expiration date.
No, it doesn't. I hope it was
No.
helpful. I
But
hope that you are
I
encouraged.
I have a lot more testimonies that I can share. So if this one goes, you know, goes okay, I have a lot more testimonies that I
Yeah,
can share.
yeah, because
But
you
that
went through things.
to show
Yeah.
people of the Most High guidance, all we
Mhm.
need to have is faith. And we're going to end with this because all we need to have is faith and don't give up.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
important thing.
That's, that's the hardest part.
A
Yeah.
lot of people give up.
It's really
But
hardest part to not give up because you feel discouraged, you feel
exactly. But you can't,
frustrated, and but you keep
um,
going. And you
yeah,
know what I do sometimes to help me when I feel frustrated is I try my best to find that one thing to hold on to that is good, that makes you feel good, that one blessing, that one thing of that day. It may not have gone how I wanted it to, but at least, and you think about the at least, at
yeah,
least I had supper. At least I get to watch my favorite show. At least, you
yeah.
know, I enjoy the song that played on the radio today. You
And I
just think
was
about that
doing,
one thing.
and we can look at it too, where even social media is concerned, because
Mhm.
I was doing mine for 4 years, and I still am not where a lot of people are in four
Mhm.
years. But the important thing is to do you, be true to yourself, and as I said, not give up. And what this is another thing that I always tell people: I trip and stumble,
Mm.
but I don't ever fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like you walk in somewhere and you might stump your toe and you trip and you stumble, but you don't ever fall.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at my life. My life has been, as you said, divinely guided, and there were a lot of times that I tripped, but I didn't actually fall.
Yeah.
So um, somebody was there to
Yeah.
catch me.
Yeah. You did good. You did good though. You should be proud of yourself. And you
When
look.
I look back, because
Yeah.
you caused me to draw, because sometimes I tend to forget these things, but you
Hmm.
caused me to draw this whole thing from like the pit, you know what I mean? You caused me to draw it from really deep down. So
Yeah.
when I look back at it and I see, I mean, I still am far, far, far from where I would love to be, but at
Yeah.
least
Totally
I'm not where I
understand.
used to be.
Yeah.
And
That's the thing that I try to remind myself of too. I'm not where I want to be, but I definitely not where I used to be. And
exactly,
I gotta remember how far I've come, and you hopefully we will get to where we want to be
yeah.
eventually.
So, to anybody that might be watching this was Sweet Annie's testimony. Um, and Letitia was the host, very good host, I might
Hmm.
add, because otherwise I would just be like, oh, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say?
Yeah.
But but she was able to ask me the questions from little things that she remembered because she wasn't there, but she remembered from things I might have mentioned to her and stuff like that. So she was able to jog my memory on a lot of things that I might have forgotten or put deep down inside the computer. And not, sometimes you feel as though you don't want to go back there because
Yeah.
when you are talking about things a lot, people think, oh, she rehashing things.
Hmm.
She just talking and she keep rehashing this or rehashing that. So
Yeah.
sometimes you tend to put things in the back. so that when
Yeah.
you have to say it, it's
Mm.
not like you saying it every day, like you're
Yeah.
rehashing things every day.
Yeah.
You get what
That's
I'm saying? I
yeah.
just move forward. I just
And
move forward with what I
yeah.
have to do. And
Yeah.
thing is to help. My thing is to help people to get wherever it is they have to go, wherever it
Yeah.
is I can take them.
We
It's
hope
just for me to help
we
and to
hope this
share.
story will inspire people. Yeah.
Exactly. And for me to share the little bit of knowledge that I have, because that little bit of knowledge, somebody else might be able to take it and put it
Mm.
like so far out. Somebody might be able to do that. So to me, that is worthwhile. And I want to thank you very much
Mm.
for having me on and all that. And I really, really do hope that people will take the time out to listen to this,
Yeah.
because we have to really get that message up there, especially in times like this,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people are wanting to hurt themselves, or
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. So we need to get stuff out there.
Yeah. Well,
And, and I hope that I was able to do it justice.
it went how it went, and we did
Yeah,
our best, and we will sow the seed, and we will see what happens. But
exactly.
that's all we could do.
All
And one
seeds,
of the things I
all,
was
all
one of
seeds don't germinate. So
yeah.
all seeds don't grow. All seeds don't germinate. So but what we did is planted a seed, and I want to thank everybody that watched this from the beginning to the end, because I know it might be a little long,
Mm.
but watched it from the beginning to the end. I want to thank y'all so much, because I was putting myself out there, and we both have YouTube channels, so we're gonna link those in the
Yeah, in the
description box.
description.
And if
Yeah.
you want to follow our journey, because it's not a journey of I know everything, it's a journey of learning every day.
Constant
So
learning. Yeah.
yeah, so if you want to follow our journeys, you can do so. But thank you so much once again, and
Yeah.
continue to let your light shine and spread the love.
Thank you.